When Senator Chuck Schumer speaks about the state of our nation under Donald Trump's leadership, he's voicing what millions of Americans feel in their daily lives, a sense of being ignored, dismissed, and left behind by a president who seems more interested in image than impact. This past weekend on 60 Minutes, Donald Trump painted a picture of an America where everything is fine, where inflation doesn't exist, where grocery prices are falling, and where his administration is somehow remodeling success. But for most Americans, that picture couldn't be further from reality.
While Donald Trump is bragging about remodeling bathrooms at the White House, Americans are panicking about how they will afford health care next year. I read an article from ABC News that interviewed a photographer from Utah who gets her health care through ACA. She will go from paying $495 a month, already outrageous, to $2,100 a month, an increase more than 4 times. It's more than a mortgage. And that is Donald Trump's America. Americans pay more for health care than they do on their mortgage. It's outrageous, and it just puts an anchor around the financial anchor around the ankles of every family. And what is Donald Trump doing in the middle of all this, this horrible sticker shock crisis that people are just feeling so awful about? Well, if you watched Donald Trump this weekend on 60 Minutes, you saw a president utterly dismissive of the pain his policies have caused working people. While people are paying more for everyday expenses, Donald Trump went on TV to insist that everything is fine. He claimed yet again that we have no inflation in this country. The only problem? That's a lie. Trump, talk to the average American and tell them they have no inflation as they're paying more for everything. Particularly this weekend, they learned how much more they're paying for health care. And inflation has accelerated, actually accelerated, since the start of Trump's trade war. Donald Trump also celebrated that grocery prices are going down. Which grocery store does he shop in? Probably none. But when Donald Trump celebrates that grocery prices are going down, it's a surprise to people who actually shop at grocery stores, because they're seeing prices go up and up and up. And when Donald Trump was asked what he's doing to end the shutdown, he said his usual nonsense, it's the other side's fault, utterly ridiculous. Donald Trump is the president. People look to him to negotiate, to fix problems. Finally, I will note this. Donald Trump was also asked several times what his plan is for fixing health care. And what was his answer? Pure gibberish, because he doesn't have a plan for health care. The only plan Republicans have for health care seems to be to eliminate it, and then to tell working people to go figure it out on their own. That's not a health care plan. That's cruel. But it's what Republicans have tried to do with health care for decades. We all remember the moment when John McCain rebuked his party to preserve it. Democrats have been very clear from the start. We need to lower people's health care costs. We need to reopen the government. We need to extend the ACA premium credits. That is what a majority of Americans want.
Let's talk about what's really happening. Across this country, families are opening their health insurance renewal letters with dread. They're seeing premiums that have more than quadrupled. Schumer highlighted one case from Utah, a photographer whose Affordable Care Act plan will jump from $495 to $2,100 a month. That's not just a statistic, that's a family forced to choose between paying for health care and paying for a home. It's a financial anchor around their ankles, dragging them down in an economy that's already squeezing every dollar. While Donald Trump takes credit for imaginary victories, Americans are struggling to afford the basics. Health care, groceries, rent, everything costs more, but the president insists that inflation isn't real. It's as if he's living in another America, one insulated from the grocery store checkout lines and the stress of budgeting a shrinking paycheck. The disconnect is staggering. When Schumer says Trump's America is one where people pay more for health care than for their mortgage, he's not exaggerating. He's naming a crisis that affects working families, seniors on fixed incomes, and small business owners alike. These are the people who can't afford the luxury of denial. They see the receipts, they balance the books, and they feel the pinch. And when Trump shifts the blame, claiming it's always someone else's fault, refusing to take responsibility for government shutdowns or policy failures, it underscores what's at stake. Leadership isn't about finger-pointing, it's about problem-solving. Americans don't want excuses, they want action, solutions, and a president who will fight for their economic dignity. Healthcare has always been a moral issue, not just a policy one. Democrats believe that access to affordable care is a right, not a privilege reserved for the wealthy. That's why they fought to create and defend the Affordable Care Act, and why they continue to push for measures that lower costs, expand access, and protect people with pre-existing conditions. Meanwhile, Trump and Republicans have offered no real alternative. Their only consistent goal has been to tear down the ACA without a plan to replace it. That's not leadership, that's neglect. We've seen this pattern before: tax cuts for the wealthy, deregulation that benefits corporations, and austerity for working families. The result? A widening gap between the top and everyone else. Americans deserve better, a government that works for them, not just for those at the top. So when Chuck Schumer calls out the lies, the denial, and the inaction, it's not partisan theater, it's accountability. It's a reminder that the presidency is supposed to serve all Americans, not just those who can afford to tune out the struggle. The truth is, we can build an economy that lifts everyone. We can protect affordable health care, invest in working families, and make sure that no one goes bankrupt because they got sick. But it starts with facing reality, not denying it. It starts with empathy, not arrogance. And it starts with leadership that listens, not lectures. If you believe that healthcare should be affordable, that truth should matter, and that working families deserve a government that has their back, then don't sit this out. Speak up, get involved, vote. Because the direction of this country depends on all of us, and silence, in the face of policies that hurt people, is not an option.